So I've had a few people ask me the same question, so I guess I'll answer it. Basically, they wanted to know specifics about what went on inside the room, the casting room, to be specific. I didn't really think that I was going to talk about this because I mean it was pretty standard. Pretty standard procedure for most musical theaters. So if you know this, if you've been through it, you can just skip this one. Because there's not a whole lot different that went on in this one than goes on in most musical theater auditions. But for those of you who are interested, I'm happy to walk through it a little bit. Whether or not it's on Zoom or in person, the callbacks tend to be pretty standard. It's the same people who are there. Obviously, the director, the producers, the casting director, a reader, maybe the production manager, all kind of tend to be the group that's there to talk to you and see what you can do. I love it when it's on Zoom because, for one, I don't have to go to New York. But two, I can kind of cheat. I can have my my music and my dialogue up behind the camera. So that I can cheat. When you're in person, you obviously can't do that. You got to have it memorized. And sometimes, you have to do dancing in these callbacks. Fortunately, there was no dancing for me on this one because dancing ain't my bag. I can move, as they say, just fine. But it gets too complicated. I'm gonna step over the side here. It's like when I auditioned for Kinky Boots. Their callback for that was like a cattle call. I mean, like they had everybody come back and everybody learn the dances and everybody learn the songs they were going to sing, and they wanted to hear you sing together and harmonize and do all that stuff. So that happens sometimes too. That was not what this was. This was just run of the mill, meet with the producers, meet with the director, kind of a callback, which was nice, really nice. And every callback is a little bit different, whether it's on Zoom or in person, in what they want from you. They will always give you a ton of sides, which are pages of dialogue to read, multiple scenes that they want you to know, and a song or two. Sometimes they let you choose. Sometimes they give you the music that they want you to perform. And at the end of the day, no matter what it is, you got to know it. You have to have it down cold, which is why I kind of like the Zoom auditions, because you can cheat. You can have it up behind the camera. Shh. Who does that? Me? I don't do that. Whereas when you're in person, not going to work too well. Excuse me, can I put these up behind you over there? No, doesn't work like that. And this callback was no different. I arrived. At the casting offices in Midtown at Broadway. Beautiful building, beautiful casting offices. And there was a casting assistant there waiting for me. And she handed me the sides and said, "Here are your sides." And I had a little chat with her, beforehand. A lovely girl, an actor, trying to figure out her way through Broadway. And she went in and told him that I was there, and immediately the director came out to speak with me, Jeffrey Moss, great guy, sweetheart of a guy. And here's the thing, is that he did something that not many directors do, and I really appreciated it. He came out and he said, "Let's talk about Luther Billis. Let's talk about the part." And like part of me was going, "Oh, thank goodness, like a director." Right? Somebody who like really wants to actually talk to his actors about the part. And another part of my brain went, what? I wasn't prepared for that. And so I kind of had to regroup real quick and kind of go and have this conversation with him, which was great. It's just a really good foot to get off on with your director, and to know that he's really interested. He wants to know how you're viewing this character and where you see this character's motivations come from. You don't get that all the time from directors, and so that was a really nice change. So, coincidentally, who he reminded me of was Saul Rubinek, the actor. I don't know why that matters, but maybe paint a picture in your head or whatever, what the director looked like, but a really nice guy. So he goes back into the room. He says, give us a minute. We're just going to get the producers on Zoom, and then we'll call you when we're ready. And then so I had this, few minutes to sit with the casting assistant, just me and her. And then they called me in, and it was a typical musical theater audition room, with a table and a few chairs and a piano player, and it looked a lot like this room here, a lot like that. The people that were there was Allison Frank, the casting director, and obviously Jeffrey, the director. The production manager was there. The musical director was there. There was a reader. And then the producers were on Zoom. And so I walked in and I gave the musical director my music. I said, this is where I'm stopping, and this is where I'm starting, stopping. And Jeffrey said, all right, let's start doing these scenes. I had about 4 scenes that they wanted me to do. So we started going through them, and then I got to one scene and Jeffrey started giving me direction, which I love. Well, I just... Tell me what you are looking for. Tell me what you want. And so, let's stop. Let's do this again. Just for giggles, let's try it this way and let's try it that way. And then to me, that's where I come alive. Like that's just, oh yeah, let's do that, man. Yeah. And so it was great. And then, he said, all right, let's go on to the music. And I think it was the casting director, Allison. She leaned over and whispered something to him. He goes, oh, we missed a scene. So this was a case where I was going to do all the scenes. Sometimes I've done in some of these callbacks, they have you learn, 12 pages of dialogue, and then you get in there and they only have you do 2. And you're like, so glad I memorized all those pages. You only had me do 2 pages. But at the end of the day, you have to memorize all of them because you don't know what they're going to have you do when you get in there. You just got to be prepared for whatever they throw at you. So in this case, they had me do everything. They had me do every single page of dialogue, every single word, which again, fine, because I was ready walking in there. And so we got through that, and then I did the music, did my song, which was a song of my own choosing. In this case, they let me choose my own song. Their only stipulation was they wanted a comedy musical piece from the golden era of musical theater. So I did Marion the Librarian from A Music Man. And, Jeffrey, all right, great, thank you. And then he says, do you have any questions for us? And my only question was, how are you guys going to pull this off? Because I know I kind of mentioned it before, but they're doing 2 tours at one time at the same time with the same actors, which is great for me because now I'm also understudying a couple parts in An American in Paris, which means I get 2 national tour credits for 1 tour. So I was like, how are you guys doing this? And so the production manager jumped in and kind of explained the process of how they're going to be doing 2 of those, which is basically, in a nutshell, before anybody asks, they've got, usually they have 2 trucks for a tour, and they kind of leapfrog from city to city, going to the next city to get things ready ahead of time before the crew and the actors get there. And in this case, they're going to have 4, and they're just going to be leapfrogging. God bless them. I said, look, you don't owe me an explanation. I was just curious. So that was it, man. And then they said, okay, great, thanks. And then Jeffrey gets up and again walks me out, and he's talking to me, and he's like, man, this is going to be a great tour. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, which in my mind is going, nailed it. You know what I mean? He's talking like I'm already hired, right? And so I've got a pretty good feeling walking out of this. And I get out the door, and I say goodbye. I'm walking down the hallway. I get around the corner, realize I've left my bag in the room. So I turn around to start walking back down, and Jeffrey's coming to catch me because he and the music director had noticed my tattoo that's written in Hebrew. And so they all of a sudden were really curious, and they wanted me to come back. And so I went back in there, and they were trying to read it, and it's Psalms 18:39. And they get funny ways. They say, "Oh, we can read it. We just don't know what it says." They're like, "Yeah, it's Hebrew school. What are you gonna do?" It didn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things about the show or anything. It was just a nice little connection that we were able to make. personally, which was really nice. And literally that was it. That was the whole audition. Walked out. I went down, left, went down, called my agent, and we had a nice chat, and kind of had a couple hours to kill, and then went back to the airport. And you know the rest, they called my agent immediately and offered me the part. So, hopefully, if you've ever been in a musical theater audition, I have just told you nothing that you don't already know, right? So, all that to say, it was just like any other theater audition ever that I've ever been to. So if you've been to theater auditions before and you've made it this far in this vlog, then you know that I have just told you nothing new. It's like nothing, you're like, oh yeah, this is all stuff that I've been through. Yeah. So all that to say is, like, if you ever get this big audition, you get the big call to go to a national tour audition or a Broadway audition, it's the same as any musical theater audition you've ever been to. The only difference is it's in New York rather than in whatever city you live in. So, you don't have to sweat it, at least not experiencing anything new or out of the norm. You just go and you do what all you always do, and you crush it. All right, talk to you next time.